Hi, it's the Money Sponge, and today I'm going to be covering Horizonte Minerals. Horizonte Minerals is a pure play nickel focused company listed on the AIM market. The market cap's 55 million currently, and they've got around about, I estimate, about 8 million pounds sterling in the bank. It's led by a very experienced board and management team. The CEO is Jeremy Martin, and the non-executive chairman is David Hall. The management team as a whole have a wealth of experience in the mining sector, and Horizonte has basically grown over the last few years from being, an exploration company to now firmly being a nickel developer. And in fact, if you look on AIM, as far as I can see, I can't really see any company that anywhere near as advanced as Horizonte Minerals are if you're looking for a nickel play. And nickel is certainly coming back into focus now, having come off recent all-time lows. It's in deficit, and the predictions from many of the analysts, such as Wood Mackenzie, UPS, even Glencore have done reports, all pointing towards growth in the nickel market, and predictions of nickel prices, this year from 16,000 to 18,000 a tonne, and potentially over the next few years a long-term nickel price of over $20,000 a tonne. So Horizonte are very well placed for this because their flagship Tier 1 Araguaia asset is a high-grade nickel project, and it's one of the largest undeveloped nickel deposits globally, with measured and indicated resources of 1.5 million tonnes of contained nickel. That's a Tier 1 asset based in Brazil with a 28-year mine life. It's going to become the next high-grade Tier 1 nickel mine to come online globally. And a PEA was produced on the asset a couple of years ago, that basically showed fantastic economics. You're looking at 1.3 billion in free cash flow, so that's after capex, at $12,000 a tonne nickel price, $14,000 a tonne, which is about where nickel is today. It would be 1.9 billion in free cash flow. So Horizonte Minerals is a very leveraged play to nickel. Obviously, that can be positive and negative, but given the backdrop at the moment, I see that as very positive and one of my key investment criteria as to why I'm invested in the company. If you start looking at the economics, the net present values, you start getting up to $18,000 a tonne, and you're in excess of 1 billion NPV. It's a fantastic asset, and the interesting thing now is that they've been working very hard over the last 2 years, and they're about to deliver, and we're talking about in the next really 4 to 8 weeks, a feasibility study that should hopefully back up the numbers in the PEA. I have no reason to believe they wouldn't. And if they do, that's bankable, and that puts the company firmly on the map as the most advanced company on AIM with such an asset. They would then move into financing discussions. They can look at offtake. They can get private equity investors. They can get project level funding. There's all sorts of options open. I think the company have already said that they've got plenty of interest at that level. So for me, this is a compelling investment and one of my favourites at the moment, given I'm a bull on nickel, on resources recovery. The numbers stack up, are incredible really, for a company with, if you take off the cash, less than 50 million market cap. In addition, the company also acquired the Vermelho nickel cobalt project at the beginning of the year, and this was something they purchased from Vale. And a lot of people say, oh well, why did Vale sell that then if it's such a great asset? Well, the reason Vale did was because they wanted a higher tonnage, low grade project, and they'd actually taken this through to a feasibility study and construction decision, so they were going to run with this. But they then acquired another project in the same sort of space, so put this basically back on the shelf for later on. Various dynamics have changed at the company, and the Horizonte have been working for about a year on this, I think, and managed to pick up the asset in the end anyway. There are royalties attached to it, so Vale aren't completely not going to benefit from it. But this is particularly interesting because it's a nickel cobalt play, and unlike Araguaia, which is pretty much going to be destined for the stainless steel market, which is a robust market growing at around about 6 to 8% per year. It's nickel laterite and therefore more suited to the stainless sector. The company are hoping with Vermelho that they can target at least 50% of the resource to the EV sector by taking the mixed hydroxide product, upscaling it and converting that into sulfates, which are required for the battery metals. The other 50% of the resource, which would be the saprolite resource of Vermelho, they think they can use the RKEF process, hopefully, which would be the same as the Araguaia process. It's a proven process, and they would be able to produce significant amounts from Vermelho as well. So this is two Tier 1 assets. They've got a really stacked H2 coming up. They've got lots of news flow. They've got the feasibility study delivery itself. They've got a final permit to get on Araguaia. They've got the important environmental permit already done. They've got testing work on Vermelho for the battery metals product. That would be pretty significant if you look at some of the peers in that space and their market caps. Canico, Sconi spring to mind straight away. They've just had a resource increase actually in Vermelho, which pretty much I thought was a market miss. They delivered an NI 43101 resource, and they actually increased the resource by 117% nickel, and the cobalt went to 94,000 tonnes, which was a 60% increase from what they previously thought was there. So already you can see that there's a 60% increase in cobalt and 117 nickel over and above what they thought was there when they purchased it from Vale. So you could argue that you should be seeing a significant increase in the value of that asset already anyway. But this is good news for the company because it gives them a combined contained nickel resource of over 3 million tonnes. So just to finish off really, how would I sum up why you should invest in the company? For me, this is a conviction investment. The company are fully funded for the 2018-19 work programme. They've got large institutional backing. They've got two Tier 1 nickel cobalt assets. Araguaia significantly de-risked now. The feasibility study is going to land soon. And then really all they need to do is get the construction permit, and the mine plan's been submitted for that. This is looking very good for Horizonte, and that mine would come online in 2021. So yes, we're talking about 3 years away, but that comes online, it's producing, the numbers are there. This is cash coming into the company. If you're prepared to sit on your investment for a couple of years like I am, you should be reaping significant rewards. And the CEO Jeremy himself has said a couple of times in recent conference calls with investors that he believes that both projects should return significant multiples of where the current share price is. The interesting thing as well is if you look at Araguaia, another reason why I think this is a fantastic investment. The Canico Oncopuma project was bought in 2005 by Vale, funnily enough, for $800 million. And the Oncopuma project is pretty much identical to the Araguaia project in terms of processing route, size of asset, tonnage, everything. So, and interestingly as well, the nickel price wasn't really far much different than it is today. But obviously Vale picked this up, they were growth. The forward nickel price actually then did move up significantly. So there was obviously a good feel around the nickel market. But again, we're now in that same situation. There is a good feel around the nickel market. So if you draw a comparison there, you could be thinking, well, hang on a minute, are Horizonte potentially going to be able to sell this asset on if they didn't take it through to production, or is the company a target? So again, those are compelling things to think about when looking at the investment. I think the Vermelho nickel cobalt project is also interesting and has brought a lot of value to the company. Peer comparisons to Cleantech, Cyaston, market cap, it's dropped recently, but it was up to about 500-600 million. Australia Mines Scony project. Australia Mines 220 million market cap. Again, Horizonte is currently sitting at around about $70 million market cap, 55 sterling. As I said, I think both assets have the ability to return multiples in the current share price, and the current share price is at 4p. And if any of you have been following the company's progress and perhaps invest in Horizonte, one of the things you might have noticed recently is it's pretty much been stuck at about 4p. Now, in my opinion, this is at least 50% of where it should be at the moment, given the stage of the company are at. I try to be conservative. I personally believe at this juncture now, this should be over 100 million market cap if I compare it to other companies at similar stages that I've looked at. However, once the feasibility study is delivered and those numbers are confirmed, and then you look at what they do, what the development work they're going to be doing around the other asset, which pretty much has been given no value at all, you're looking at, I would think near 150. And as we move through to the point where the company would de-risk to the point where they're financed and going to production, you should be looking at multiples of that. It's a compelling investment as far as I'm concerned. If you look at the broker target price recently, they put a 21p broker target price on it at $14,000 a ton nickel. I'm not surprised by that. A lot of people look at broker targets and they say, oh yeah, broker target 21p, oh yeah, they're working for the company, whatever. No, I mean, to me it stacks up. I've invested in other companies where I've seen this value early. Even though this market cap won't appeal to some people on AIM who want a 1 million market cap and 10 bag it overnight, that is possible, but you don't find those opportunities very often. This is an investment. This is an investment for an investor who likes the nickel market, likes the potential for resources to go back into a potential super cycle coming off lows. An investor who likes a strong management team that have delivered to date, methodically and progressed this asset, and bear in mind what Jeremy Martin's done here with the Glencore asset and brought this through the de-risking process and going to take this to construction decision and to production. Do the same thing with Amelio that we've just acquired as well. So there is significant mid to long-term value here, I feel, and that's the reason I'm invested. I hope you enjoyed the summary.